Emily, I'm planning to stay over at my parents' house this coming weekend. When my husband suddenly mentioned this, I asked him what was going on. Actually, it's my parents' wedding anniversary. It's their 40th anniversary this year, so I thought we should celebrate this special occasion. Really? Then I should come too, right? I thought about that, but it's their wedding anniversary, not a birthday or anything. I'd feel bad making you come. Especially with your hectic schedule, Emily. Upon checking, I realized that I would be off a night shift that day, so I decided to take my husband's advice to rest this time. Our relationship with my in-laws is good, they always look out for us. I'll think of something to celebrate with them later. But I'll sit this one out. My name is Emily. I'm 32 years old and work as a nurse. Ken and I met 3 years ago and have been married for 2 years. Though it feels like we've been together for a long time, when compared to my in-laws' 40 years, we're just starting out. My in-laws are a close-knit couple, often going out for walks hand in hand. For me, whose parents are divorced, they are the ideal couple. I hope Ken and I can share such moments together someday. On Friday, Ken came back home with some shopping. Tomorrow, I'm going to cook at my parents'. Ken, who enjoys cooking, was excited. Unlike me, who is happy as long as I get to eat, Ken always strives to make delicious meals. We usually take turns cooking, and Ken's meals are indeed tasty. But of course, good ingredients make good food. However, he leaves not just the cooking utensils and pots to be cleaned up, but also the dishes after we eat, all to me. I've repeatedly asked him to help with the cleanup, but I just can't seem to get through. Make sure you don't leave the cleanup to your mother, okay? It would be unfair to her to be left with the mess, especially during a celebration. When I mentioned this, Ken just brushed it off with a nonchalant, okay. I was a bit irritated, but I managed to say, please give my regards to your dad and mom. Before I started preparing for my night shift and left the house. The next day, after finishing my night shift and coming home, I was woken up by the ringtone of my phone. I looked at the screen and saw that it was a call from my father-in-law. It was unusual because I was expecting my husband to be at his parents' house, and it's typically my mother-in-law who gets in touch. Picking up, I heard his panicked voice. Emily. Kathy has collapsed. What should I do? What? Kathy is my mother-in-law. I immediately got up and started asking questions. She had collapsed suddenly and was feeling hot. Given the season, it might be heat stroke. Since she seemed to be in and out of consciousness, I advised him to call an ambulance and to let me know where they would be taking her. I hurried to my in-laws' house, which was about a 40-minute drive away. I tried calling Ken on the way, but he didn't answer, and there was no call back. So I gave up on reaching him and received a call from my father-in-law instead. It seemed like heat stroke after all, and she had been taken by ambulance. Upon arriving at the hospital, I found my father-in-law there. He told me that my mother-in-law wasn't in serious condition and was currently receiving an IV, so we headed to her room. By the way, where's Ken? Is he in the room? My father-in-law looked puzzled. I thought he was with you. I tried calling Ken first, but couldn't get through, so then I called you, thinking Ken was driving. Hearing this, I also frowned in confusion. But Ken went over to your place, right? Now it was my father-in-law's turn to frown. For a while, we exchanged puzzled looks as we walked, but our conversation was interrupted when we reached the hospital room. Kathy, I'm so relieved it's nothing serious. Saying this, my usually energetic mother-in-law smiled weakly. Sorry to trouble you. Were you working today? I had a night shift yesterday and was just at home. And where's Ken? At work? I was taken aback when my mother-in-law asked that. He said he was going out to cook for your anniversary. The three of us exchanged glances. Feeling something was off, I called my husband again, and this time he answered. Thank goodness. Where are you right now? His response was unbelievable. I'm at my parents' house, cooking and doing my filial duty. I could even hear the sound of chopping in the background over the phone. I quickly covered up my surprise. Oh, right, I must have been half asleep. Sorry. You must be tired from work. I told them you'd be at work, so just take it easy and rest. My husband claims to be at his parents' house. But both of my in-laws are right in front of me. So, who exactly is my husband cooking for, and where? Could he be cheating? He never showed any signs of that, did he? I tried to recall any evidence. But nothing conclusive came to mind. At most, his late returns had increased, and I once found a convenience store receipt for beer and alcoholic drinks. My husband only drinks beer, so why the alcoholic drinks? When I asked, he said he bought drinks with a colleague to vent after work. Which I accepted. That alone wasn't solid proof. While I was pondering this, my concerned father-in-law came out of the room. Is something wrong? Is Ken coming? Oh, it seems he had some urgent work and had to go to the office. There might have been some trouble, and he might not be able to come home today. I lied on the spot. I see. Sorry to trouble you, Emily. It looks like everything is okay now, so you should go home and rest, my father-in-law said. So I nodded and headed home. Even if my husband is cheating, what should I do? Perhaps it's better to pretend not to know if he returns. I love my husband, and we get along well with his parents. He's always concerned about me, my work, and my health. Worried, I went home and decided to snoop around a bit in my husband's room. But there was nothing out of the ordinary there, as I often go in and out of that room myself. Returning to the living room, I noticed the computer. I have my own laptop, so I never use this one. Maybe I'll find something there. Checking the internet history, I saw he had been browsing travel sites. He was researching hotels with kitchens. So, was that why he was stocking up on groceries? To take them on a trip with his mistress? Yet, I hadn't fully doubted my husband until then. Today's events could have been just a gathering with friends. Feeling guilty about having fun while I was working, he might have lied about going to his parents' house. That thought crossed my mind, but it crumbled the next moment. There was a bookmark for a site where you could save photos. Reluctantly, I looked and found decisive evidence of the affair. There were numerous photos of my husband with a woman, at date spots, amusement parks, and on trips. Some photos even showed them naked. And it had started right after we got married. This meant I had been deceived by my husband for 2 years. After realizing this, I knew I couldn't continue living as if nothing had happened. I also found their email exchanges. One shocking discovery was that the mistress's birthday was the same as mine. Comparing the emails and photos, it was clear he had gifted her jewelry and watches. For my birthday. He gave me an apron to make chores easier and a cookbook to improve my cooking skills, a stark contrast to the lavish gifts for his mistress. Moreover, it was not me but his mistress who was celebrated on her birthday. Despite my often conflicting schedule due to night shifts, I never imagined that the mistress was being prioritized. My feelings for my husband took a 180-degree turn. This mistress was a junior colleague at his company. She was the woman who attended our wedding and exclaimed, "I share the same birthday as you." Looking through the emails, it seemed like the mistress was the one who made the initial approach, but my husband had easily taken the bait. Finding an email where he mentioned not intending to divorce me because I had a decent income and took care of him without complaints when he was sick, I couldn't stay silent any longer. I decided to divorce him. I took photos of the evidence on the computer with my phone for safekeeping. Realizing it was already late at night, I decided to sleep on it. The next day, I looked for a divorce lawyer but had no idea who to choose. As I was pondering alone, the doorbell rang. Startled, thinking it might be my husband, I found my mother-in-law at the door instead. I invited her in, surprised. She had recovered after the IV and returned home yesterday. She had come to thank me, bringing a gift. Talking with my mother-in-law made me feel sad. It was heartbreaking to think I would have to part ways with such wonderful in-laws. My mother-in-law then offered her support. "If there's anything, feel free to talk to me." Moved by her kindness, I spilled everything. I worried she might get angry hearing such things about her son, but she said, "Is that true?" Unforgivable. When I showed her the evidence of the affair, she became even more enraged. Affairs make no one happy. How could Ken do this? Then, she made an unexpected proposal. "Emily, pack your things and come to our house." What? As I stood there stunned, she started calling someone. It seemed to be my father-in-law. She was asking him to clear a room in their house. Encouraged by my mother-in-law, I began packing my belongings. I only needed a change of clothes and my computer for now. We decided to move the bigger items later, so I loaded my car with my belongings and drove to my in-laws' house with my mother-in-law. My father-in-law greeted us upon arrival. As we entered the living room, I saw an unfamiliar woman sitting there. I wondered who she might be when my father-in-law explained she was a lawyer he had asked a friend to contact. It seems my mother-in-law had called her just after speaking on the phone earlier. We really need to act quickly in situations like this. My father-in-law seemed somewhat proud of taking swift action. In front of my in-laws, I explained to the lawyer that I wanted a divorce and to seek alimony. Though I was barely keeping up with the rapid developments, stating my intentions out loud helped me solidify my resolve. The thought that my husband treated me as a cash cow while ridiculing me with his mistress made my blood boil. My in-laws were also furious about my husband's actions. That evening, I received a call from home. "Where are you?" "My phone got water damaged, sorry I couldn't contact you." Hearing my husband's voice instantly fueled my anger. "I've moved out. Decide now whether you'll stay or move out too. I'll collect my things within the week." This sent my husband into a panic. "What are you talking about? What's going on?" His words only made me angrier. "Cheating on me, and you ask what's going on?" Confused, my husband started to ramble. "Cheating? Me? Why? How?" It seemed he was wondering how he got caught. Then, my mother-in-law took the phone from me. "Come back home right now." "Huh? Mom? What?" Ignoring my confused husband, I hung up. In less than an hour, my husband arrived at his parents' house. "Emily. What's going on? Why are you here?" He rushed in through the door, to which I sighed in response. "How was your homemade meal at the hotel with your mistress?" At my words, my husband turned pale. "You had the nerve to say you were celebrating your parents' 40th anniversary with a homemade meal. Meanwhile, your mother was in trouble. And you were leisurely traveling with your mistress. What? What happened to you, Mom?" My father-in-law then stepped in and yelled. "Kathy was taken by an ambulance. We tried to contact you multiple times. Today is the last day you set foot in this house. Once this discussion is over, don't ever show your face here again. And the car you drove here, I want it back, it's still in my name." My father-in-law snatched the car keys from my husband. Knowing that my husband, who commutes by car, would be in a lot of trouble without it, I was aware of the inconvenience it would cause him. Internally, I couldn't help but think, serves him right. My mother-in-law also chimed in, "Cheating is shameful. We know everything. We are on Emily's side, not yours." The lawyer had already left, so I expressed my intention to divorce directly. My husband was panicking, his face pale. "Divorce? I can't accept that." "Why?" "I helped around the house, I even cooked." His desperate state only elicited a sigh from me. "Helping around the house? You mean taking out the trash and putting away folded laundry? You don't even know how to use the washing machine. And have you ever cleaned the bathroom or toilet?" "But I cooked." His words made my blood boil. "You say you cooked, but completing the cooking includes cleaning up afterward. You just cook using fancy ingredients and expect praise for how delicious it is, but of course, it's delicious. Think about the grocery budget when you cook." At that, my husband lashed out. "What? My cooking is far better than yours. Cleaning up is quick, right? Cooking is the hard part." She enjoyed my cooking and thanked me for it yesterday. She undoubtedly referred to his mistress. Well, of course she would enjoy the meal without any stress, since it's in a hotel kitchen where she doesn't have to clean up. She's eating luxurious ingredients bought with our money. My husband shouted back, angered by my comment. "Fine, then let's get divorced. I'm done with you." Saying so, he stormed out of the entrance. However, since my father-in-law had taken his car keys, my husband reluctantly started walking away. His departing figure looked pitiful. The next day, I canceled my bank account that had been used for withdrawing living expenses. I refused to pay for rent, electricity, gas, or water bills with my money anymore. I sent the divorce oath to my husband and demanded a substantial settlement and alimony. Fueled by anger, my husband has agreed to the division of assets and alimony. He had to pay in one lump sum, which apparently exceeded his savings, forcing him to borrow from a consumer finance company. When I went to collect my belongings later, I noticed unfamiliar luggage, possibly indicating that the mistress had moved in. But that was no longer my concern. Of course, I also demanded alimony from the mistress through my lawyer. A month later, my ex-husband called. I'm getting bills for rent and utilities. Ah, he had finally noticed. Of course, the payments were failing since I had cancelled the account. That's expected since I've cancelled the account I used for the withdrawals. My ex-husband was speechless. Why should I pay for a place I don't live in? Your lifestyle might downgrade, but you'll have to manage. With your salary. It'll be tough to keep living in that apartment. With that, I hung up. My ex-husband's salary was about half of mine. If he paid the rent, he would hardly have anything left for other expenses. In reality, I had been covering most of the shortfall in our living expenses. Later, my ex-husband pleaded for reconciliation, which I ignored. According to my in-laws, he had quit his job due to discomfort at work and sought refuge at their home, but my father-in-law turned him away. By that time, I had already moved out of my in-laws' place and rented my own apartment. I haven't been in touch with my ex-husband, but I still maintain a good relationship with my in-laws, who occasionally contact me. Seeing my in-laws holding hands, I resolved to find someone with whom I could share a similar bond in the future. I, Sarah, have finally achieved my dream of opening a cafe. My husband, Jason, also quit his job at the restaurant where he used to work to join me in running the cafe. After all, it was our shared dream to manage a cafe together. Although we don't have children yet, this cafe, which we created through numerous trials and errors, from financing to location and interior design, is like our own child to us. We're incredibly excited about the grand opening day, which feels like showcasing our child. One day, as we excitedly buzzed around preparing for the opening, a visitor arrived. The visitor came to our living quarters on the second floor of the shop. It was Jason's mother, my mother-in-law. She's a laid-back person and has been very accepting of our venture into business. She's so calm and kind that I often think I'd like to be like her when my child gets married and brings a spouse home. It's still a few days early for a celebration of the opening. Despite this thought, when we greeted her, my mother-in-law arrived with a surprisingly large amount of luggage. Shocked, Jason and I asked what had happened, and she revealed an unexpected truth. I was kicked out of Joshua's place. As she explained, my mother-in-law had been evicted from the apartment where she lived with my brother-in-law, Joshua, and had nowhere else to turn but to our home. I knew you two were busy, but well. She seemed apologetic. Her nonchalance made the situation even more difficult for me. But both Jason and I were more upset with my brother-in-law than with my mother-in-law. Jason immediately made a phone call. Joshua, Mom's here alone saying she was kicked out. What's going on? While my brother-in-law Joshua sounded sorry, he was firm in his response. It's absolutely impossible to live together at our place. My wife and I are too busy preparing for a new venture. And we don't have time to care for Mom, who's becoming forgetful. Could you take care of her for a while? We'll come to get her once things settle down here. It was convenient for him to say so, but those words were hard to trust. Originally, my brother-in-law, the eldest son, had reluctantly taken in our mother-in-law. My sister-in-law isn't very good at taking care either, and together with my brother-in-law, they must have kicked out my mother-in-law and are now doing as they please. So, I thought about it. A way to ensure that my kind mother-in-law doesn't feel lonely or mistreated. It's fine, if that's what Joshua says. Let's have her live with us. It seemed the only way. Since my father-in-law had passed away and there were only two brothers, there was no one else to take care of her. Though it felt burdensome, my mother-in-law is family to me as well. I couldn't not take care of her, and more than anything, I couldn't leave my kind and beloved mother-in-law. If Sarah is okay with it, then I want to do it too. Jason was positive about it. After all, it was Jason who was more of a mama's boy, so perhaps having his mother nearby was better for him too. Well, thank you. Jason, Sarah. I need to think of something to thank you with. My mother-in-law seemed somewhat aware and unaware of the situation at the same time. She only gave a nonchalant response. Maybe I could cook every day? Oh, but you two are running a food business, so there's no need for me to cook, right? Helping family is natural, I think. But since she offered to thank us, Jason and I thought maybe she could help out at the store occasionally. If you don't mind, would you be willing to help out at the store sometimes? Chatting with customers, making desserts. I think it would be fun to have those moments. I said to my mother-in-law. That's true. If it helps you too, I'd like to do anything. My mother-in-law happily agreed. Considering it an extension of household chores, she would probably get used to cooking in no time. Jason and I discussed maybe having her mainly help with cooking. With the direction of the conversation settled, we went downstairs to show her around the store. As we walked around the cafe on the first floor and introduced her to the menu for the opening, my usually slow-paced mother-in-law suddenly became alert and started speaking her mind clearly. Jason, Sarah, this store won't catch on as it is now. There's still time to turn things around, so get ready immediately. We were taken aback by the assertive idea my mother-in-law suddenly proposed next. For instance, she suggested that, given the current retro trend, even a new shop should have vintage interior decorations and background music. She also recommended adding to the menu dishes she enjoyed in her youth to attract not only the young people riding the retro wave but also the elderly clientele. Furthermore, she pointed out that traditional candy stores have become scarce in this town. So we should set up a candy corner to allow customers who purchase there to dine in, attracting families with children. Each idea was innovative and tailored to the needs of the community. Her suggestions were so spot on that we couldn't help but agree, and under her direction, we quickly began preparations. A few days after our mother-in-law moved in with us, our long-awaited shop opened, and a month has since passed. Typically, a shop with no future would see a decrease in customers after a month, but our shop didn't have to worry about that. Our cafe is so popular that there's a line of customers every day. All of this is thanks to our mother-in-law. Sarah, the sandwich for table 3 is ready. Could you bring it? Sure, right away. Though we're busy, every day is fulfilling. Having our mother-in-law come to stay with us at that time might have been a stroke of luck. However, into those busy yet enjoyable days, unwelcome visitors arrived one day. It was my brother-in-law and his wife. We're from the same town, so we've heard the rumors. It seems your cafe is doing quite well. And I hear Mom is being called the celebrity grandma waitress. With a sneer, my brother-in-law looked around the shop and made his comment. Actually, we've been thinking of starting our own shop. A bubble tea shop, which has been a huge trend since last year. We came to take Mom back so she can help us out. We're here to pick her up. What? What are you suddenly talking about, Joshua? Well, the deal was until we settled down, right? Now's the time. So, give Mom back. You guys have had enough luck from her, right? Now it's our turn. He demanded our mother-in-law back as if she were a lucky charm that could easily be returned. Despite his words, the real challenge for our cafe, which the three of us built together, is just beginning. Our mother-in-law is already contributing as a full-time employee. Who would fill her shoes if she left now? You could hire some part-timers. With your thriving cafe, I bet young part-timers would be lining up to work. They'd probably work much harder than an elderly mom. So, Mom, please thank Jason and Sarah properly and come back with us. To our surprise, our mother-in-law readily nodded in agreement with my brother-in-law's words. Both my husband and I were so shaken by this. Mom, you don't have to listen to him. You should stay where you want to be. Jason, I really think it's okay to go back with Joshua. Sarah, I'm sorry for meddling too much. But I enjoyed working with you both. Visit me at home sometime. Without giving the impression of being taken away by force, our mother-in-law was led away by my brother-in-law and his wife. Suddenly, we didn't even have time to feel frustrated or wronged. However, without the lubricant-like presence of our mother-in-law, both our shop and our home felt a tad lonelier. That was the undeniable truth. Days of busyness where we lost track of time continued, and before we knew it, half a year had passed. Our shop is still thriving today. Undoubtedly, this success is thanks to the advice we received from our mother-in-law, who we haven't heard from since. I wonder if she's doing well. Worried, I thought about calling her, but seeing Jason visibly lonely for being robbed of his mother by his brother, or perhaps sulking as if abandoned by her, I couldn't bring myself to reach out. Welcome. The atmosphere at home wasn't great, but the shop had to open, and customers kept coming. Then, one day, the person who opened the door wasn't a customer but our ever-serene mother-in-law. "Sarah, Jason, I've missed you." "Mom, what brings you here all of a sudden? We were worried about you not getting in touch. Are you okay?" As we took turns asking, our mother-in-law, smiling brightly, echoed her previous sentiment. "I was kicked out of Joshua's place. I was helping out with their shop as they asked, but it seems their business went downhill. They said I was in the way, so I left. I was hoping I could work with you again." Once again, for a reason that seems unimaginable for one's own mother, our mother-in-law was driven out. Jason and I were about to devise a plan to teach my brother-in-law a lesson, but it turned out to be unnecessary. It was my brother-in-law who came to us. He looked very worn out. "Why would you disappear on your own, Mom? We are having a hard time." Today, his wife, my sister-in-law, wasn't with him. It seemed she was looking after their store. "Joshua, don't make it sound like it's my fault. You two were the ones talking about cutting labor costs, so I was the first to leave to help out." I understood then why my mother-in-law said she was driven out. If they wanted to cut costs, it would start with the most easily dismissible, or in this case, my mother-in-law, who arguably shouldn't need to work at her age. That was about the part-time students, not you, Mom. I never said anything about letting you go. I don't want to be in your shop anymore. I don't want to be on a sinking ship. If you were to ask me to use my savings and pension to fund the business because it's failing, that would be the end of me. Don't say that. Come back to the store and give us advice like you did for Jason and Sarah. You said it yourself, Mom. How they let even an old lady like you have a say in the business and were kind to you. We want you to have a say in our business too. It's not hard. No, I helped Jason and Sarah because they wanted to create a cafe that would be a haven for the townspeople, reminiscent of the place I worked at when I was young. You're only thinking about your profit and immediate concerns. That's not true. I opened a shop selling trendy sweets to help revitalize the community. Do you really think so? Trends among the young change quickly. You don't have the adaptability to keep up with those changes, especially as a novice in business management. Even if something is trending, young people are discerning and will move to a better place if one exists. Your shop might be new and clean, but the lack of trained staff means the service is poor, making customers uncomfortable. You might be good at financial calculations from your corporate job, but you have no skill in managing a shop. It's sad to see your employees exhausted from aimless hard work. My mother-in-law sighed, continuing with a look of sorrow as if lamenting her own son's situation. Small-town food establishments can't just mindlessly sell what's popular among the young. You completely fail to understand and capture the customers' hearts. I wonder if you're really suited for the service industry. As a former cafe waitress, it makes me even sadder. I can't and don't want to work in your shop. You could have said something right from the start. You were quick to give advice to Jason, but you treated my situation carelessly. Even if I wanted to, your shop targeted the young from the start. There wasn't much for an old lady like me to say. I can't possibly understand everything about the youth. I'm just an old lady who used to be a waitress. Don't expect too much from me. Now. Please don't cause a scene at Jason and Sarah's shop any longer. Joshua, you should go back and do what you're good at, handling the finances. After being harshly criticized by his mother, my brother-in-law finally lost his temper. Enough, we're going back. If you say you only know about cafes, then I'll change our business to a cafe. Then you can give us the same kind of advice you gave to Jason and make me a fortune." He grabbed my mother-in-law's arm, trying to take her away. My husband and I intervened, holding back my brother-in-law. Having heard enough, both my husband and I couldn't hold back any longer and spoke our minds. A person who can't even cherish his own mother can't possibly care for customers. Please go home alone. And don't come to see her again. She's a part of our team, not a tool for making your money. My husband threatened to call the police if the commotion continued, and that finally made my brother-in-law leave. Afterward, my brother-in-law and his wife, who mistreated my mother-in-law, inevitably failed in their business and had to declare bankruptcy. Moreover, they were sued by their part-time employees for power harassment and unpaid wages, resulting in a hefty compensation payout. The couple divorced, and my brother-in-law was also demanded alimony, plunging him into even deeper debt. Having treated his own mother so poorly, my brother-in-law could no longer rely on his family. He would have to live modestly, working to slowly pay off his debts. Hearing about my brother-in-law through relatives, my mother-in-law seemed utterly indifferent and had no intention of offering help. "I don't have time to bother with that child. I'm going to be a grandmother. I'm looking forward to taking care of my grandchild." Indeed, neither my mother-in-law nor we had the luxury to worry about my brother-in-law. Our shop flourished even more with my mother-in-law's return, and my husband and I were blessed with the child we had longed for. Sarah, don't stress just because it's your cafe. Work at your own pace. Everyone, including our regulars, is looking forward to seeing your child more than anything. Yes, thank you. My name is Mia. I'm 28 years old, working part-time. I have 2 adorable daughters with my husband, Alex. They attend elementary school and preschool, respectively. Next to our family home is a separate dwelling unit where my mother-in-law, who dislikes children, currently lives alone. She was causing problems within our family for quite a long time. She would often complain by saying, back in the day, things were different. She would impose her own rules and target my young daughters since she couldn't seem to confront my husband and me directly. Whenever my daughters were watching movies on a tablet, she would take the tablet away, scolding, "In my time." We were allowed to watch TV only for a certain amount of time, let alone movies, as if to teach them about enduring without entertainment. "There was a time when we did everything ourselves," she once said, stripping my daughters of their muddy clothes and shoes, trying to make them wash those in a basin. When they refused, she yelled at them, "You two are such bad kids." Although my daughters didn't quite understand why they were being scolded, her harsh words and frightening demeanor often made them cry. Far from feeling sorry, my mother-in-law would mock them, saying, "Crying to get your way? That would never have been tolerated in my time." Of course, I'd repeatedly asked her to address her concerns to me instead of the children. But she seemed to think that she wouldn't get caught and continue her behavior. At some stage, it had gotten so bad that I even tried to retaliate. I deleted the TV series she had asked me to record, and when she predictably flew into a rage, I retorted, "Back in your day, enduring without entertainment was expected, wasn't it? Why are you so upset over the deleted episodes?" And when she asked me to do her shopping, I refused, saying, "Since you insist on making my daughters do everything themselves, surely you, an adult, can do your own shopping." However, my attempts to make her see things logically didn't have the desired effect. I was at my wit's end, worrying about how to ensure peace at home and let my daughters grow happily, when my mother-in-law crossed the line. One day, I was late coming home from work and missed picking up my elder daughter from the school bus. I quickly drove back home to find her sobbing with her backpack still on and my mother-in-law standing right in front of her, looking at her coldly. When I demanded to know what happened, my mother-in-law explained as if it were obvious, "Kids are way too pampered nowadays. Relying on school buses and childcare buses only weakens their legs. Back in my day, parents never picked up their kids from the bus stop. So we walked everywhere." When I asked my daughter, Emily, she tearfully said, "Grandma said that kids who ride the school bus are weak and spoiled, and that they'll be disliked by everyone when they grow up. I don't want that, so I'm not going on the bus anymore." We live in a rural area, so her school is more than a 2-hour walk away. In this day and age, it's not only dangerous for small children to walk such distances due to safety concerns, but it's also exhausting for them and could negatively affect their studies. To scare a child with the threat of being disliked by others was just unthinkable. Crying won't solve any situation. With her usual parting shot, my mother-in-law left. I just couldn't forgive her. I thought to myself that I had to teach her a thorough lesson. That was when the perfect idea for revenge popped into my head, and I immediately acted on it. The effect of my retaliation became evident the next day, on Saturday evening. Hearing the incessant ringing of the doorbell, I opened the front door to find my mother-in-law, pale-faced. I had an inkling of the reason, but I asked her anyway, and she said that when she was about to go out shopping, she noticed my car was missing from the front yard. I scrapped my car. I casually informed her, as if I were discussing the weather. Yesterday, you mentioned how spoiled the kids were these days and that back in your day, people walked everywhere. It made me realize how you'd been begrudgingly using my car, so I decided it was time to reflect on that. What? There was no point in keeping the car if nobody wanted to use it. It would cost us more money on tax just to keep it. So I called a dealer and had it picked up this morning. I said with a beaming smile, as if I were expecting praise. My mother-in-law was speechless at first, only to snap back to reality and start yelling at me. How dare you do such a thing without permission? When did this even happen? The dealer I knew was quick to come for the car, and the whole process was done in an hour. The car was in my name, so I didn't need to inform my mother-in-law, who was having a nap at that time. And the collection was over before she knew it. I explained, adding apologetically, "It was very careless of you to leave the car key in the garage. If you had kept it inside your home, I might have informed you before the car was picked up." She probably remembered her past remarks about not bothering with keys back in the day, as her face twisted in frustration. "You should have at least informed me, regardless of the key situation. How am I supposed to go to work from Monday? Don't you have any compassion? Am I the one lacking compassion? That's harsh. Didn't I just tell you that I sold the car with your best interests in mind? Considering how much you dislike cars? But I never said I disliked cars." Annoyed by her excuses at this point, I decided to end the conversation. "I appreciate that you were unwillingly driving my car around all these years. From Monday onwards, feel free to walk anywhere you need to go. On your own 2 feet. I said loudly and slammed the front door shut. She immediately started ringing the doorbell, but I chose to ignore it. Remembering the shocked look on her face, I laughed to my heart's content. I was curious to know what she would do, but it seemed that she managed to walk to work without any issue. I had hidden my bicycle, which I used for grocery shopping, and told my husband not to give her his car key. Considering she's too stingy to even buy a grocery bag, opting to carry things by hand instead, I doubted she'd choose to take a taxi. As it rained on her first day of walking to work, I felt a bit sorry for her while looking outside, and then the phone rang. It was just after 9 a.m. The call was from her work, saying she hadn't arrived yet. Walking there might take her about 3 hours. Not wanting to cause undue concern, I explained the situation to the person on the phone, and got a thoughtful response. "So she's like that with her grandchildren too?" Followed by a chuckle. "The tardiness will count as a half-day absence," the office clerk cheerfully informed me, indicating my mother-in-law wasn't particularly liked at her workplace either. Arriving late on her first day walking to work, my mother-in-law left home at 5 a.m. the next day, which was an hour earlier than before. Glancing my way, she began to murmur, "My legs are so sore, I wonder if I can even walk tomorrow." But I just brushed it off, saying, "That's just muscle pain. It's a sign of your legs getting stronger." That weekend, she finally asked me, "Can I borrow your bicycle on the days you're not using it?" When I refused, saying, "I might need it unexpectedly, so no, I can't let you use it," she suddenly got angry. "How could you be so cruel? Why can't I ride it when you're not using it?" I knew that she was having a hard time getting up early in the morning and walking to work for hours, which was making her legs sore. But she had no idea how to politely ask for a favor. After all, a bicycle is considered by law to be a vehicle. "Didn't you say that people used to walk everywhere without relying on vehicles? Or was that a lie? When I pointed this out with a cold gaze, she was taken aback and then started rambling. Of course, I knew that. I just thought I was going to allow you to do things for me. Since I felt zero compassion for her, I firmly said, I cannot lend you my bicycle. Fine. You cold-hearted woman, she retorted, and stormed off to her home. Her next move was to tattle to my sister-in-law. When my sister-in-law called me, she sounded apologetic throughout the conversation. And she had a reason to feel guilty towards us. Originally, my mother-in-law lived with my father-in-law in their family home. But they had to sell it to pay off his debts, and they moved into a rental house. After my father-in-law passed away and my mother-in-law could no longer afford the rent on her own, feeling lonely all by herself, she asked my sister-in-law to live with her. However, my sister-in-law had her hands full taking care of her husband's parents. Therefore she asked Alex, her brother, to take in their mother. I'm sorry for leaving mom in your care. To be honest, I don't know what to say when she calls me. As my mother-in-law disliked children, she would even make unpleasant remarks to my sister-in-law's kids over the phone. She insisted on walking everywhere and not relying on cars, so it's not a matter of whether I forgive her or not. Since my mother-in-law was the one imposing old-fashioned rules, it was high time she adapted to modern ways and bought a bicycle for herself. Still working, she could surely afford a bicycle. When I explained this to my sister-in-law, she seemed to agree, saying, "You're right." A new bicycle was delivered to our house 3 days after that phone call. It arrived on a weekday afternoon, likely ordered with the fastest shipping and without a specific delivery time, forcing me to receive it. Knowing my mother-in-law, she must have ordered it right after talking to my sister-in-law. When I looked at the brand new bicycle with a front basket, I got a brilliant idea. As soon as my mother-in-law came home, I rushed to greet her with a big smile. We had delivery today. It was a bicycle. It was past 8 p.m., and although she looked exhausted, her face brightened up. Oh, really? But as soon as I said, "Thank you so much for getting me such a nice bicycle," she looked at me in shock. What do you mean? I didn't know you were planning a surprise for me. That bicycle's not for you. Really? But it's too big a bicycle for a kid, and Alex won't ride it, so who else but me? I played dumb, pretending to be confused. Adding sarcastically, well, you wouldn't ride a vehicle anyway, right? That left my mother-in-law speechless. How can you be so spiteful? She exclaimed. Spiteful? I was merely following your example. I just did to you what you did to my daughters. Using those old rules of yours to bully them because they were in a weaker position, right? I simply used those same rules for my revenge. I thought I was disciplining them. She protested. As I'm their mother, I'll handle the discipline. I told you so many times not to scold my daughters directly. Yet, you always interfered, making them cry and referring to the past. Cars are not good, so walk? Yet here you are, giving up walking after a week and immediately buying a bicycle. Faced with my unusual fervor, my mother-in-law turned pale and began to cry, which was unbecoming for someone of her age. Did you think crying would solve everything? You said that wouldn't have been tolerated in the past, didn't you? I didn't even feel sorry for my mother-in-law when she cried. Perhaps it was because I saw her making my daughters cry all of the time. I don't know how things were in the past, but if you don't want to continue walking to work, I suggest you sincerely apologize to my daughters and forget those nonsensical old rules. If my daughters agree to forgive you, then you're free to do whatever you like. I left her standing there after making my point clear, not forgetting to add that I would check to see if she actually apologized. Soon after that, my mother-in-law did apologize to my daughters. Grandma said she was sorry for everything and asked if she could use the bicycle she just bought for herself, my daughters told me. Her lips were trembling when she apologized, they shared, giving me a glimpse of her begrudging apology, which made me laugh. Feeling sorry for her, they said she could use the bicycle. Since then, my mother-in-law has become quiet. She has noticeably started to avoid her grandchildren as if she had little or no interest in them. And it was a relief to know that we'll finally have peace in our house. I've made it clear that if she repeats her old behavior, she will have to leave, and I plan to keep a close eye on her. Interestingly, I heard that at her workplace, she's now referred to as the woman who can ride a bicycle. On her first day riding her bicycle to work, she miscalculated the time and arrived late again, which led to another call from her workplace, where I learned about her new nickname. When I informed the person on the phone that she had been granted permission by her grandchildren to use the bicycle, she said, "So she's no longer the woman who can't drive a car, but the woman who can ride a bicycle." Imagining my mother-in-law being teased by her younger colleagues made me chuckle. My name is Madison, a 39-year-old janitor. I've been working for a company that handles office cleaning for corporations, and as a single person in my 40s. I'm close to 20 years of service since I started at 20. The reason I chose this job was to take care of my mother, who fell ill. We were a single-parent family, just my mother, my brother, and me. At one point, my mother became seriously ill, and I had to drop out of vocational school to ensure I had time to accompany her to medical appointments and assist her at home. The janitorial job I found allowed me to ensure I had time to assist my mother. Now, I truly feel fortunate to have this job. My boss and my seniors understand my situation well and always treat me with great kindness. The juniors are also adorable. I thought there couldn't be a better workplace anywhere. My mother passed away when I was 25 and my brother was 19. It was as autumn ended and winter began. The shock of losing my mother made me frequently absent from work. With the major cleaning season approaching, the company was entering its busiest period. During such a busy time, my colleagues would say, "It's okay, Madison, we'll wait until you feel better," and were genuinely concerned about me. Although I appreciated their concern, I wanted to just shut myself out from everything. I wanted to go with my mother. But I had a brother to take care of. Feeling sorry for my brother, who lost his mother before reaching adulthood, I motivated myself to be strong and somehow continued working. At that time, my brother Steve was still a college student. I looked out for him, giving him money for school supplies when he advanced a grade and picking him up whenever he was late coming home. When he found a job, I gave him a suit as a celebration gift. My income was modest, but I did my best, thinking I was doing things in place of our mother. After our mother's death, Steve started suggesting, "Why don't you quit being a janitor, or find a better job?" He was probably dissatisfied with the low income and the social stigma. It was very painful every time he said such things, because I wasn't in the mental state to consider changing jobs. It was my colleagues at work who kindly supported me through this. Eventually, Steve put a lot of effort into job searching and landed a position at a major corporation. It was a company that everyone knows, often seen in TV commercials and internet ads. Steve's first salary was nearly twice my pay. His joy at that time was like that of a little boy who had just received a lot of pocket money. "Look, sis. I surpassed you in just 1 month. Amazing, right? Check out this pay slip." Steve was truly ecstatic, showing it off to everyone. "Sis, quit your janitor job and get a good one like me. Hey, watch how you speak. I like my current job. Stop with the sour grapes. The pay is totally different." While I wished he would choose his words more carefully, I was relieved to see his efforts rewarded. Sitting in front of our mother's portrait, I reported, "Steve has become admirable." However, as Steve grew more proud of his company, he started heading in a bad direction. He bragged about being praised by his superiors for his work. Despite being new, he was scheduled to participate in a significant project. As his sister, I was proud, but Steve increasingly looked down on his colleagues without discrimination. "I'm expected to do well and I am, but my peers are just not up to par. It'd be terrible if their incompetence dragged my evaluation down," he would say nonchalantly. He seemed to underestimate the workplace and society as a whole. This attitude would trip him up eventually. I admonished him for his behavior. "I don't think there's such a difference among new employees. Everyone's just starting out." Then Steve scoffed, "Look at you, a low-educated janitor acting all knowledgeable." I was annoyed and said, "That's because I've been in the workforce longer than you. So I know there's not that much difference in people's abilities." "Oh? Does your cleaning company have college graduate newbies? Before you preach to me, go tell them they're wasting their lives." My brother ridiculed me and went out drinking. I wonder if he'll learn his lesson someday. Despite my concerns, my brother's overconfidence only accelerated. It started with the superiority he felt from earning more than his sister. That transformed into a flawed self-perception of being exceptionally talented, distorting his personality. He would say anything he wanted to me. Initially, I overlooked it, thinking he was just excited about his new job, but gentle verbal admonishments didn't resonate at all. After realizing this, I tried scolding him sternly, but, unfortunately, it made no difference. I started losing confidence in how I was interacting with my brother. As time went by, several years passed. I continued my job as a janitor. My brother seemed to be climbing the corporate ladder smoothly, but his disdain for others worsened. Then, my brother moved in with and married his girlfriend Olivia. This partner, too, shares my brother's overconfidence and has been a source of trouble for me. Olivia was much younger, and from my perspective, she was from a completely different generation. The first conversation I had with her when my brother introduced us was, "So, Madison, is it true you're a janitor?" "Yes, it is. It's a fulfilling job, and I enjoy it." "Ew, isn't that dirty work?" "I'd hate it. Sounds smelly." My brother, listening by the side, chimed in, "Right? Unthinkable, isn't it? It's unsanitary. She's also ugly and broke. But can't help it. She's family, sorry." I was dumbfounded and don't remember much after that. After she left that day, I yelled at my brother. "That's rude of you. Can't help it because she's family, what is that? And her? You shouldn't judge people by their job or income." My brother was shocked by my sudden fury but fumbled for words to retort. "Shut up. You dropped out of vocational school and I have a college degree. So does Olivia. It's only natural we'd say something. You're living a loser's life with low income and a bottom-tier job." With those harsh words, my brother stormed out. I cried in frustration and sadness. I had to drop out of vocational school to take care of our sick mother. My brother knew that. Yet, he said those things. It's true my income is low, but I managed to pay for his tuition fees. I did my best, thinking I was standing in for our mother. I must have messed up somewhere in dealing with him. I looked in the mirror while crying. The comment about being ugly bothered me. I look a lot like my brother. I'm not beautiful or pretty, but I don't think I'm that ugly. But maybe I do need to take better care of myself. I wonder if changing my appearance a bit would change his perception of me. Well, even if I spruced up, it's not like my brother's character would change. If anything, marrying a woman with similar values probably reinforced his overconfidence. I discussed it with my coworkers, but I started to feel like there was no way to fix my relationship with my brother. Then one day, I received a postcard from my brother and his wife. "We've moved." I had no idea. From the address, it seemed like a detached house. What's this all about? Kind of cold. If they had told me, I would have congratulated them and even helped with the moving. Since I had things I wanted to talk about too, I decided to use this as an opportunity to call them after a long time. "Hello, I got your postcard." "Ah." I could hear my brother's cheerful voice over the phone. "Awesome, right? A house at our age. It's because I'm successful. Wouldn't be possible without my efforts." "Yeah, amazing, amazing." It was the usual boasting, but somehow I found it nostalgic and listened to a lot of what my brother had to say. It was after that when I brought up my own news. "Actually, I have something to tell you. Just the other day, my company got a contract to clean your company's building. We might see each other from time to time." "Huh. That's great for you. It's not often you get to be in such a big building unless you're working there." If only he had stopped at "that's great." "There's one more thing. I have a boyfriend now." "What? Really?" My brother sounded genuinely surprised. "Yes. He's older and a wonderful person. I've been taking care of myself since you commented, you know. He was charmed by me from the start." I joked. Then my brother said, "That's a great reflection on me then." Somehow, he sounded proud of himself. Well, I won't say he had no part in it. So, I want to introduce him to you. He's eager to meet you too, so is it okay if we come over soon? We'll bring a housewarming gift too. When I mentioned this casually, he exclaimed, "What? You're coming over?" His cheerful voice suddenly turned somber. What's wrong? You do realize what your job is, right? What? My job? Cleaning? My house is brand new. Meaning, it's clean. I don't want a dirty janitor in my house. What? Janitors are dirty so they can't enter a new house? I was confused. My mind went blank. Isn't it obvious to hesitate in situations like this? I'm sure your colleagues would understand. You're lacking common sense. You should apologize. Red rage started boiling inside my blank mind. And I felt the anger that filled me was on the verge of exploding. Hesitate because my job is dirty? Lacking common sense? Apologize? Don't be absurd. I couldn't hold back anymore and raised my voice. You disrespect people too much. That's extremely rude. I could have tolerated it if it was just me. But implicating my coworkers too, that was unacceptable. I could sense my brother recoiling on the other end of the phone. He was aggressive towards those he perceived as weak, but crumbled when faced with pushback. Do you really think a person's value is determined by their job? That's truly lacking common sense. Apologize. Why are you suddenly getting so angry? I won't forgive this. How could you become so insensitive? Mom would definitely be disappointed. Insensitive. That's you. Your so-called boyfriend probably doesn't have a prestigious job either. Anyone reasonable wouldn't be involved with a janitor. If you weren't my actual sister, I wouldn't associate with a dirty woman like you. If you weren't my actual brother, I would have stopped trying a long time ago. That's my sentiment exactly. I cut my relationship with you. Don't ever contact me again. Fine. Understood. Goodbye then. It was a childish exchange of tit for tat, but I couldn't manage an adult response anymore. My brother tried to say something else, but I ignored it and hung up. I resolved to part ways with my brother. He's the only sibling I have in this world, but I can't handle it anymore. In my brother's view, a janitor like me doesn't deserve respect. Even though we're siblings, if our values are this different, it's better for both of us not to be involved with each other anymore. It's okay. My brother has grown up enough. This is goodbye. I've come to terms with my feelings. Several months have passed since I declared estrangement from my brother. By some twist of fate, I was assigned to clean at my brother's workplace. I think my boss was trying to be considerate, but I am really not looking forward to it. But giving my all to the job at hand is my principle. I suppressed my feelings and headed to my brother's company. The building was truly large and spacious. With such a vast space, there's no way I'd run into my brother. Even if we did meet, he probably wouldn't recognize me. Thinking this made me feel a bit better. I switched my focus to cleaning while pushing the cart filled with cleaning supplies. It was in the afternoon that day. While mopping the floor, I noticed a group of about 5 men drinking coffee in front of a vending machine, chatting. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. Enough already, give me a break. How many years have you been working here? Report and consult before it becomes a situation where the whole team has to clean up after you. Yes, sir. There have already been 3 similar incidents in just this term. I'm sorry. So the man apologizing made a mistake, and everyone's working hard to recover. They must be tired. With that sentiment, I continued mopping without looking their way. Your peers are already team leaders, and some are even at manager level. Try a bit harder, will you? I'm sorry. He's being reprimanded severely. They should forgive him already. I want to mop the space in front of that group and reach the other side of the corridor anyways. After reprimanding the man who apparently made the mistake once more, the group returned to their office. When the group passed by me, I saw a familiar face. My brother. The one being scolded for the mistake was my brother. No way. My brother also saw me, froze for a moment, then his face went pale. But without saying anything to me, he quickly followed his team and left the scene. During the rest of my work, my brother kept coming to mind. He was supposed to be the most successful among his peers, but the brother I saw just now looked nothing like that. More like a burden to the company, a straggler. He seemed like an employee who frequently makes mistakes and is always apologizing to those involved. It was an intuition formed from seeing various company organizations and human relationships through my cleaning jobs. The belief that he was a capable person was just my brother's vanity. At least in the beginning, things might have been going smoothly for him. Just as I predicted, his overconfidence might have led to negligence, allowing his colleagues to surpass him and trip him up. Given his nature of easily looking down on others, it's not surprising. But there's no need for me to worry about him. It's unlikely my brother would ever turn to me for help. We are strangers now, having severed our ties. A few days after realizing the truth, I saw my brother again. While I was cleaning the main lobby, my brother came down the elevator with someone else. Ah, shoot. I left the paper bag with the samples behind. No problem. I'll go get it, so please wait here. It's fine, I'll go. I'm not much help anyway. Just make sure to support me when you get promoted. Stop saying that. I'll go get it. The man, who seemed to be a colleague, cheerfully got back on the elevator to fetch the forgotten item. He used to claim he was capable and said quite a few rude things to me. From a distance, I looked at my brother shrinking in a corner of the lobby and felt pity. While wiping the leaves of the lobby's plants, thinking about this, my senior coworker approached quietly and said, "Isn't that your brother?" "Yes, it is. Seems like he's having a tough time, let's just leave him be." My senior glanced at my brother worriedly before returning to her position. Perhaps feeling the weight of our looks, my brother, who had been cowering in the corner, glared at me and walked over. "Hey. What are you doing here?" "Cleaning." "That's not what I mean." "Why are you here?" "It's my job." As I curtly replied, my brother lost his composure and raised his voice. "Don't you dare tell anyone about me looking pitiful at work, got it?" It felt like he was unloading all his work frustrations on me. The people around us started to stare at my brother as he yelled. Concerned about the attention, I whispered, "You're drawing attention. Be quiet. You have no right to tell me what to do. Everyone's watching, brother. Please, lower your voice." Trying to calm him down, I reached out to hold his hand, but he recoiled, "Don't touch me with your dirty hand." He aggressively wiped where I had touched and continued his tirade. "You're trying to cause trouble for me, aren't you? What do you want? Trouble? What are you talking about?" I was utterly confused. "I mean, don't tell Olivia." "Understand?" "Oh, I see. Is it about your challenges at work? Or concerns about promotions? Which one don't you want me to mention?" "It's both, obviously." He was genuinely afraid I'd spill his work situation to Olivia. "Wait. Are you still pretending everything's fine? Be quiet. Don't speak to me like that." Such harsh words. My brother, oblivious to the onlookers, kept hurling insults at me. The company must be really stressing him out. He's trying to lighten his own heart by looking down on me. "I'm not your scapegoat." Then, a voice from behind said, "That's quite disrespectful to someone from the cleaning staff. Be quiet." "Huh? Who are you?" Finally noticing the commotion around him, my brother started looking around frantically. Perhaps unable to bear my brother's rude behavior any longer, a man from the crowd stepped forward. Dressed in a neat suit, with gray hair, an elderly man, his dignified presence was evident. Seeing the man, my brother instantly became flustered. The man stood next to me and gently placed his hand on my back. Such insults like dirty or incompetent are not acceptable. Please apologize to this individual. But she's my sister. We were just having a sibling quarrel. My brother, trying to make excuses in his flustered state, was met with my retort, "I thought we had decided to go our separate ways." "Shut up." My brother showed a two-faced response, acting deferential towards the gray-haired man but aggressive towards me. Into this exchange, the man interjected, "If it's a family matter, then it concerns me as well." "What?" "Pleased to meet you. I'm Brandon, your sister's partner." "What?" My brother was utterly dumbfounded. "I'm an executive from an affiliate company of yours, and a director of your company. It was unfortunate that we couldn't greet each other the other day." What?" Faced with a situation completely beyond his understanding, my brother was in panic. Feeling a bit awkward, I gave Brandon a side eye. "You didn't have to step in now." "If not now, then when?" he said with a friendly smile. "Is it really true, sis?" My brother was visibly anxious. Well, he would be, considering he was facing an executive of his company. "It's true. When our company secured the cleaning contract for this building, I accompanied our president. He took a liking to me while managing that contract." "No way." "It's true. When your president couldn't explain in detail, she clarified everything logically, and I was impressed. I asked her out." A murmur of surprise echoed through the lobby. "Embarrassing, to say the least. I heard you say that she was a loser with no decent job and no respectable man would go out with a dirty janitor." "I didn't say that. Regardless of the truth, I expect an apology for the disrespect you showed your sister." My brother, pale-faced, had no choice but to listen to Brandon's firm words. "You're Madison's brother, right? Please be more supportive of your sister." My coworker, who had been cleaning the lobby with me, had somehow made her way over, and other colleagues from different floors gathered around too. My brother was totally isolated. Seemingly resigned, my brother, barely able to stand, apologized to me. "I'm sorry." He was utterly dejected. His voice was small, devoid of any strength, enthusiasm, or emotion. Later, my brother was reassigned to a distant branch of a subsidiary. For the record, my partner had no involvement in my brother's demotion. Worried that his shortcomings at work would be exposed to his wife and that his disrespect towards me had been overheard by company staff, my brother panicked and made successive errors at work. This likely ended his prospects of career advancement among his peers. Olivia came to me in tears after learning about my brother's demotion. "Madison, you're involved with an executive of my husband's company, right? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Please help him return to the headquarters," she pleaded. Of course, my response was no. Her pleas were in vain. With the reduced income after the demotion, they likely struggled with their mortgage. And it seemed they might have to let go of their newly built home. What happened to my brother and his wife afterwards is not my concern. And as for me, I married Brandon. We live happily in our newly built home. I continue to work in the cleaning industry, though I'm less often at the sites now. Because I've become the president of the cleaning company. The company I've worked for all along. When the former president retired, I was appointed as his successor. Me, a president? It seemed impossible. I had my doubts, but I wanted to contribute to the company I love, and I decided to give it my best shot. No matter what anyone says, I intend to continue the work I love at the company I love with pride.